Hey, it's me again. In this video, I want to clarify a lot of the confusions that are on this one topic called diets. People that come in my office all day long, they don't know what to do. Someone told them eat this and someone else told them to eat the opposite food. So there is a massive confusion going on. I want to sort that out. And the question is, why should you even listen to me? Well, there is a difference between a clinical practitioner, someone in the field, day in and day out for a long time and working on thousands, tens of thousands of people, that's me, and a clinical researcher who's actually in a lab who researches research, that looks at published research, but never really worked with a person before. So you really want to look at the source of who's advising you. Or maybe it was like one person who has a success story with weight loss and they wrote a book about it, right? So I will say that there's a lot of different bodies out there, a lot of different situations. You can't fit every single person into one mold. You have to adapt. Another thing about me that I think is a plus point is that I am very willing to be wrong and I'm interested in just success. So I'm very flexible in my thinking. That's why I've updated a lot of the information in my books over the years, and I keep changing things to adapt with what I'm seeing out there. Okay, so with that said, let's go into some of the data. Anytime you're evaluating data, you have to compare it to something to figure it out. So let's say blood pressure. You have to know what normal is, right? 120 over 80. So then you can compare if yours is high or low. Or let's say your temperature is 98.6. Well, that's normal, so you have to compare it to normal. Or with a diet, we have to compare it to something to be able to evaluate this, to have a reference point. So I think the best way to evaluate the correct diet for you would be to look at the very definition of the word food, and that comes from a derivation which means nutrients. So we eat to get nutrients. That's why we eat. So if you are doing a diet that provides the nutrients that you need, that would be a very good diet. So if you're eating things that don't provide nutrients, that would be a very bad diet. So now the question is, what diet would give you the most nutrients, okay? So now let's just take a vegetarian, okay? Or a vegan, whatever. Someone who eats a lot of greens and things, and they don't eat animal products, and that's like Dr. Furman, for example, recommends a lot of greens, right? And apparently, he says, well, it's really healthy, and it's going to help you lose weight, it's going to help your cholesterol, your heart, where he's getting great results. But here's some data that you might need to evaluate. When we take, and I've been pushing kale for many years, and kale is very healthy. It has about 35,000 international units of vitamin A per cup. So you say, wow, that just handles my vitamin A. But with vegetables, all the fat-soluble vitamins, vitamin A, D, E, and K, those are all pre-vitamins in vegetables. In other words, they're not the active form. So really, you're only getting 4%, if you're lucky, of vitamin A, because your body has to convert it. So being a vegetarian without meat, it gives you a problem with the fat-soluble vitamins. Okay, so that's just a fact. So our bodies, the active form of vitamin A comes in grass-fed butter, it comes in cod liver oil, and animal products. So vegetable doesn't give you that. Vegetables give you tons of vitamins, other vitamins, and tons of minerals. Folate, for example, and potassium, and magnesium, all these minerals. So we need vegetables for sure, but it doesn't give you all of the vitamins, okay? So that's one thing. So again, I'm comparing everything to that derivation of the word food, which is how do you get all your nutrients, right? Now, one essential nutrient is amino acids, and that comes from protein. So being a vegetarian, you look at the different foods, and it is possible to get your amino acids from vegetables or beans or nuts, but it's not easy to do. So you really have to know what you're doing. So I'm not saying it's not possible, it's just more difficult. But here's the thing. I've had people become vegetarian, and all of a sudden they start showing signs of protein deficiencies. Their teeth start getting loose or their hair falls out. And then I have other people that become a vegetarian and they get their hair back. So again, it's whatever the person is missing. So I'm not against any one diet as long as it follows the definition of the word food and you're getting the nutrients, okay? So some people might do very well on a vegetarian diet and others might do very poorly. Personally, I was a vegetarian when I was in my 20s and I did not do well on that at all. I was always starving and I needed some animal protein. So again, the real simple version of this is rather than trying to believe someone's theory, even my theory, go ahead and try it for yourself. Go ahead and try a diet. Try different ones and see what you feel best on. Let's see what gives your body the most weight loss. Let's see what gives you the most health benefits. I mean, that's a simple way to do it. So you might want to try, not eating any animal products for a while, or eating them and see how you feel. Again, and do what makes sense. There's doctors out there now that are recommending starches are okay, potatoes, so you need potatoes. I'm like, really? Okay, try to lose weight by eating potatoes. So I'm not saying don't do it, but you want to prove it to yourself. Then you actually know the truth of it, rather than believe a theory. It's almost every day that someone emails me and says, Dr. Berg, I heard that this other person said something that conflicts with your information. I says, well, why don't you go ahead and try it and see how you respond, okay? The advantage I have is I just tested so many of these things on people for so long, I can kind of narrow it down for you to tell you what works on the majority of people. If you're a diabetic, for example, and you're trying to be a vegetarian, I will say it is difficult because of the breakdown of protein is so fast in your body. It's called catabolic effect on the muscle protein. It's very difficult to retain that protein. So you see people with atrophy, or if you have a female that's going through menopause and you take the protein away, they can lose a lot of amino acids. So there's multiple causes to different body types, whether it's hormonal or maybe you have a weakness with genetic or whatever. But the point is that you want to be very flexible and not put everyone into one bucket, okay? Let's take a low-carb diet. Are all low-carb diets good? Well, there's a confusion on that because what's low-carb to some people might be high-carb to others. The problem with low-carb is that it's a good thing, but what carb are they talking about? They talk about vegetables, they talk about sweets, they talk about fruit. If you take someone that has a very bad, poor metabolism and you put them on a low-carb, it might not be enough of the lowering effect to really help them lose weight. For example, a paleo diet is a very healthy thing that I think. I like paleo. And that's good for someone unless they have a very slow metabolism because they allow you to do some fruits, which is just enough carbohydrate to bump you out of fat burning. I have people that, if they could just do a version of the paleo and knock out the fruit, they can be very successful with their weight. So again, low carb might also include fruit. So we don't want to do that. Or low carb might include maple syrup or just a small amount of sugars, which is not good for someone trying to lose weight. So you really have to understand that. And then we have the low fat, right? Low fat diets. We already know that theory has been completely, utterly destroyed over the years because, again, if we compare it to food, where are you getting your fat-soluble vitamins? Vitamin A, D, E, and K from the fats, from the animal fats. You need some fat. Not a lot, but some. But then you might have a high-protein diet, which, like Atkins, which is like a lot of fat and protein, but he doesn't emphasize the vegetable to give you all the vitamins and minerals. Okay, so we have a lot of excess of one type of amino acid, but not everything else. So that can throw your body out of balance too. But some people thrive on that eating plan. Some people don't, depending on how they're able to retain certain nutrients or absorb them. So that's kind of my point. And then you have people that are on ketosis. Well, that's a lot more fat. Well, if you have a good gallbladder, and you're also having a lot of vegetables, and your metabolism isn't too bad, you can lose some serious weight with that eating plan. But again, the fat that you're burning may be the dietary fat to some degree and not your own fat. So if you're not losing weight with that, you might not be able to tolerate as much fat as other people that have a better metabolism. And then one last thing I want to mention, and I'm going to use the patient that came into me yesterday. Classic example. She's on a so-called diet. She's losing weight like crazy, but she's completely exhausted. Her heart rate is pounding out of her chest. It went way up above a 110 resting. 110, it should be 70. When she stands up, her blood pressure goes down, she gets dizzy. What's happening with her? She's on a 500-calorie diet. Well, first of all, she's depriving herself, not of calories, but of nutrients. She's severely low in electrolytes that feed the heart. So I recommended certain electrolytes because that diet is very unhealthy, because it doesn't fit the definition of food, which is that which nourishes the body, which provides energy and repair of tissues. She's depriving the body of nutrients, okay? So I just wanted to create this video to give you a little insight on what my viewpoint on diets are. And when you listen to a theory and you're now more confused, the only way you're ever going to figure this out is to try it and see if it works for you. And if it does, great, then that's true for you. If it doesn't, then you're going to have to find something that does work. All right? I'll see you in the next video.